遠くで聞こえている遥かなる調べ忘れじの物語
And welcome everybody to the Saint Seiya Cosmocast. I'm Ramses. Thank you so much for waiting. Sorry for the delay of the production of the episode, but I have some unfortunate things that I had to deal with. But I do appreciate those that have found the podcast since and have been waiting for a new episode. Hopefully, you guys will not be disappointed. To give you guys a little bit of context about why I had to take a leave of absence, I had to get some changes to my audio. Hopefully, a lot of this audio stuff sounds a lot better. Um, I'm doing my best here with the equipment I got, but I was able to change up a lot of things, and hopefully it sounds a lot better in the final version. And also, I've been dealing with a lot of depression and also anxiety as well, with like trying to make sure that this episode or any episodes going forward is going to be like good or anything like that, or like what I'm going to do like going forward. And I shouldn't be worrying about that type of thing. I have to kind of like take this like one episode at a time, fortunately, and I think doing it that way will, well, ease up things a little bit. And also, too, one last thing before I even started recording was that unfortunately I had some back surgery done for some growth that I had going, and it was nothing malicious, nothing cancerous. Thankfully, everything was actually okay. Problem was the time that I wanted to take to time off. I wanted to do some recordings and stuff like that, but unfortunately, I just was bedridden and I didn't even to get out of bed at all to even do anything at all. And only super recently was I able to like get around and actually start doing things again that I usually do, including record stuff like this. So I feel that because it's been such a long time without an episode, or to get us back to how we used to do things, I feel that instead of doing a usual episode where we would do a topic or discuss what's going on in the world of Saint Seiya in terms of like what news and stuff like that, we just want to make a state of the series, kind of like where we are right now, standing in like the United States and like kind of in bits and pieces of the world. Because I think there's a lot of news, and I think that all that news can be wrapped up into like one episode. And when it's all said and done, we can have another episode just as we regularly do as well. So hopefully this break of format will break up the monotony and also put us up to speed to where we should be news wise and everything else wise with the series. So since the last time we had an episode, we discussed about filler episodes in anime and in Saint Seiya in general, what my thoughts were about it, and also like there was kind of like some information about like Saint Seiya being on like how they're doing some free stuff for Saint Seiya during the lockdown. And since then, we had some developments, not too much because again, we're currently still kind of in the pandemic, and a lot of this news is kind of slowing down because of it. But I do feel like there is some news to discuss. The biggest concerning Saint Seiya proper is that the manga is getting its final edition as published by Ata Shonen, who are now the current right holders to this franchise, and have been publishing Saint Seiya and their Shonen Champion compilation manga. So, so they've been publishing that, and what's interesting about these is that especially in the first issue, it has Saint Seiya Chapter 0, and that's a 3 chapter manga that was done in 2008 between the time that Fuminata was working on Saint Seiya Next Dimension. So in addition to that series, he was doing that, and it's for the first time gets to get serialized in printed form outside just being in the comics. So it's considered to be the most complete version of Saint Seiya that has that tacked on. So I would like to see if anybody in the United States would like to take it over because the original translation by Viz, well, it's good for its time. It was really handicapped by a lot of issues that it um, was still using the dub from the geek version of the series and had to like obey to like a lot of the rules and a lot of the names that they had to do changes to. And I do feel that a new version of the manga, especially right now with the series, starting to get a little bit more popular with with people because thanks to the Netflix show, or because the series is now on Netflix and not many people are aware of the series. I think having the series available again with a better translation would be very good, especially these final editions with these new chapters added in and these new colored pages and whatnot. So fingers crossed, hopefully either Viz or someone else will pick it up. And, if it does, I'll gladly buy him. Because, like, I do feel that that does deserve to be recognized and deserve to be seen as. Last time we also talked about the series, season 2 had already been put up for the CGI series. Or part 2, as it's known, as it's put there on Netflix. Usually their seasons are usually crumpled up into like 2 parts that makes up the first season or something like that. But I don't like how they have it set up where it's part 1, part 2. Part 3 or season 2 of the series, it was still kind of like lift up in the air. And unfortunately, we didn't hear anything about it because like by the time that any kind of news were to be said, the pandemic hit and we just didn't get any more information. Um, but only about a month ago, Yoshiharu Ashino had gone on record on various podcasts saying that the next season of the series is happening, and that the series is having its course correction, hopefully to be more in line with the actual series. Um, I will say I have a few thoughts on this thought on all of this. First and foremost, considering the timing, I know it's been a long time since we had an episode, but consider that that it's a CGI show and that it takes very long to make a CGI show, especially for a show that's consistently CGI. It has to. It comes to no surprise that they couldn't say anything about it because it just because of the nature of the kind of series it was. So this comes as no surprise whatsoever that it took this long for it to be announced, and I don't think we're going to be seeing anything anytime soon. My prediction is that we're going to see something in maybe spring of 2002. That's the earliest I know that we're going to see anything about the series, and that's most likely when we're going to get our next group of episodes as well. As far as what I think of the news of the series, of course, on correcting, I always said to myself that the Sanctuary chapter is always a big tonal shift, and everything shifts very drastically from its initial arcs. When you get to this part of the series, I feel like it's a different series altogether, and it shows because it's like it's very self-contained. It's like we're feeling like less and less these big battles against like one or two people. That's just one-on-one fights. That's more methodical, more thought-provoking and stuff like that. Not your typical shonen anime kind of thing. So it's saying that they're going to course correct it. I mean, it feels like that's already kind of a given, in my opinion. Like I feel like that's something that we know that's going to happen because there was a huge change going to that series when we get to the Sanctuary arc. So hopefully this change of pace will benefit the writers, benefit people doing the series, and hopefully it will change a lot of what that initial thoughts of the series. I was very I wouldn't say warm to it. I was accepting to it. Like I knew like what they were trying to do, and I justified a lot of what they were doing, and I feel like because of that, I didn't feel as angry as other people are. I know a lot of people were angry with the changes, but I wasn't because I kind of knew like from being involved with a lot of writers and stuff like that, I knew that okay, I understand how these things, type of things, work in terms of like writing, why things had to be changed, why different things had to happen. Period. And it's also like one of the things where it's like concerning change itself. I do wonder if it's Netflix or Toy or whoever also made the choice as well to change what's going on as well. So hopefully, if it does change, hopefully it's for the better, and hopefully everyone's in agreement, and it's something that we all can get behind. Another thing that should be talked about is where we are with the licensing of the actual anime. Last time we talked about the series in terms of like where we are with licensing. Currently, Netflix had all the rights to publish the original 114 episodes of the series, and that was worldwide. But unfortunately, I've been hearing news now that starting October 12th, because of licensing agreements with other networks in Mexico and other parts of the world, and other parts of South America, they're gonna have to drop the series from Netflix. I do believe in Mexico they are still airing the series over the air, and that's at least one net positive that if you still live in Mexico, you can still watch a series. And there hasn't been any news like that in the United States, so like if it's easier for you to watch the series on Netflix, it's still going to be available for you to watch on Netflix. One of the other big things is that Tubi TV, a subsidiary of News Corp, had picked up the rights to various toy animation series and have put up the series on their Tubi TV app. The series, for our sake, the series that they picked up include Saint Seiya Solo Gold, Saint Seiya Saint Show, and Saint Seiya the Hades. Unfortunately, I believe that Saint Seiya Hades is only dubbed in Latino Spanish, and that is the new Latino dub, not the one that has all the returning cast members from the original dub coming back. And concerning Saint Seiya Show and Solo Gold, those don't have a dub, and they both have like subtitles also in Latino Spanish as well. So this makes me think that this was more of something they picked up for the Latino audience that might be interested in the series, and they could not pick up the main series. So there is hope. Hope that like someday soon that maybe we can get Hades dubbed in English, but that's a long shot. You just need to continue to support the series on Netflix and stuff like that. In terms of like any other new projects concerning Saint Seiya in terms of animation other than the CGI series, we don't have anything to report. But like I said, who knows what's gonna happen now in the future? But for now, at least, let's keep up positive thoughts as to like what the series will bring to us in terms of merchandising. It's there hasn't been that many, but it's been consistent, and that's one of the more interesting things. The Funko Pops that we talked about back in episode one, the very first proper episode, not episode 0. Those that we saw at Toy Fair, those just came and went, and those are still readily available. You can still buy those at retail price of $9.99. So if you're a Saint Seiya fan and you want to pick up something on the cheap, but don't skip on these. These are really good. And in terms of action figures and stuff like that, in terms of like action figures, especially for the U.S. market or for not the Japanese market, the Anime Hero Saint Seiya line has been continuing surprisingly. After the initial offerings of Seiya, Iodius, and Saga, we now have Ares Mu, Virgo Shaka, Aquarius Camus, and coming soon, Phoenix Iki. So it's good to know that the franchise is still going on with this in this subline, considering that there's so many series in this subline. I think like it's One Piece, Naruto, and in some parts of the world because of copyright of who owns the figures. I know here in the United States, it's these figures are owned. This line is actually owned by McFarlane, My Hero Academia. So they had to make new figures for all those. And considering they're still consistently making new figures for Saint Seiya alone, that is a huge, huge thing to have. So hopefully they will continue making new figures, and you can pick those up from like Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, wherever you want to buy your action figures. I guess the biggest things we can discuss going on with Saint Seiya is the fact that after so long of it being off and on, and thanks to the pandemic, it was kind of like temporarily put on hold up until recently. But we're gonna get a live action Saint Seiya movie. It's just gonna be called Knights of the Zodiac. It's gonna be produced. It's gonna be made by Polish director Tomasz Bazinkic, who he's worked on various shorts before, animated shorts, and he's currently working with Project City Red on projects like The Witcher, and he worked on the 2013 Cyberpunk 2077 promo that was shown there, and we and he's currently working on a Netflix version of The Witcher as well. So this is gonna be his first time directing. As far as writing, um, it's gonna be written by Josh Campbell and Matt Stroken. They took in the reins after various rewrites by other people, but that's officially who's going to be writing it. And their only other writing credit so far has been for 10 Cloverfield Lane. The biggest news that comes out of this is behind the scenes is who's going to be the stunt coordinator, and the stunt coordinator is Andy Chang, who's worked on a lot of Jackie Chan movies back in like the late like 90s and 2000s, including Mr. Nice Guy, Where Am I, the first two Rush Hour movies, Shanghai Noon, and I think his biggest one to that we're all taking notice of is that he worked on Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. So hopefully in terms of combat and stuff like that and how it's always gonna look, it's gonna look really cool. In terms of who's gonna be in the movie itself, the first known casting was Franco Jasmine. She confirmed that she was gonna do this movie next. Her role is still unknown, but she said after in an interview in early 2001 that she was working on the Saint Seiya movie. Franco Jasmine, she plays Jean Grey in the first three X-Men movies, and she was also in Golden. Then after that, on September 21st, we got our very first like full kind of like casting as to who's going to be playing who. As of right now, this is who we got. Makanayu Arata, the great Sonny Chiba, is going to be playing Seiya. He's done various movies such as Pacific Rim, and he's done a lot of anime stuff for like Peach Girl, Rurouni Kenshin, Tokyo Ghoul, and JoJo Part 4. Madison Iceman, who appears in the newer Jumanji movies and in the new Amazon TV show I Know What You Did Last Summer. She is playing Sienna Kito, aka Athena, or Seori Kito. In kind of a weird twist, Franco Jasmine's Golden Light co-star and veteran actor Sean Bean will be in the movie. Sean Bean, of course, guy who comes in a lot of movies. Again, GoldenEye, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, you name it, he's been there, and he's gonna play Alton Keto. The rest of the cast don't have a role just yet, but so we don't know what's gonna happen with these guys just yet. Rounding out the cast is Dio Taniko, who is currently starring in the Netflix show In My Block, and also he's appeared on Teen Wolf. Nick Sell, who's appeared in movies such as Sin City and Terminator 3, and Mark DeCostas, who's appeared in a lot of like movies in general. His most recent shows include Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and John Wick 3. He's appeared in like other stuff like The Running Freeman, another anime adaptation, Double Dragon, he was Eric Driven in the TV show version of Pro City of Angels. It's a lot of stuff. I'm sorry, I really like this actor so. And currently, right now, the movie is being done in Croatia and Hungary with a spring 2023 release to be released by Sony Pictures, with the movie being co-produced by Toei. As far as my thoughts go about the movie, the thing is about what we only seen so far, which is just a casting news and a few photos on set. I really can't make a decision as to like what to feel about what's going on so far. I know Hollywood hasn't been the best when it comes to doing a lot of adaptations to animes, and a lot of people are afraid that this is going to be another bad adaptation, and it might. Unfortunately, that's going to be one of the things that we have to deal with. That it could be good or it could be bad. And as far as like what my stance with the series and this movie goes is that I'm gonna continue to support it. I do feel that it's no one's fault for the movie. No one wants to make a bad movie when they go out to make a bad movie. Stuff happens, unfortunately, and it's sad that like, we live in this day of age where it's like it's easy to just dogpile on one bad thing and just let it be like the whipping boy, the whipping person, or something like that. That just creates a toxic environment with the franchise. And unfortunately, that's it's I you can't escape it. You see it in Star Wars, you see it in Marvel, you see it in a lot of places. And I'm even old enough to remember when there was a lot of the controversy was still like, before there was an internet. I remember I was old enough to remember what happened with Michael Keaton when he got when he was casted as Batman back in the 80s, and there was a huge backlash because he had just come off of movies such as Gung Ho and Mr. Mom, a lot of comedic movies that didn't do any favors that he's going to be playing like the serious Dark Knight character, and people thought we are going to know he dismissed this as like something like the '60s Batman and stuff like that, but we were proven wrong. Like a lot of people love that movie, and especially they love Michael Keaton for being this the definitive Batman, and people still consider him to be the definitive Batman. And even to this day, you still like hear a lot of the backlash, especially when you hear guys like talk about uh like Robert Pattinson who's playing Batman for a new movie that's coming out next year. I hear a lot of things like, "Oh my god, why is a guy from Twilight doing this?" And it's like, you know, I've done this show and dance for so long. I'm about to be 38 years old. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. So my stance officially is that good or bad, I'm gonna support this. And I feel that we should give support to the actors, give support to the fans that are interested in it. But at the end of the day, the core of this podcast and the core of everything that I want to achieve with the Saint Seiya Cosmocast was I wanted to create an environment where these types of things does not exist. I want this to be a place where a new fan can come in, they can easily digest the series instead of trying to digest everything all at once. Instead of telling them, hey, you don't have to watch 114 episodes. Watch a few episodes, 5 or 6 episodes, come back, talk to us, have a discussion, and then do it again. And that's the original intent. That's why I did those episodes with the episode talk back and everything, because I really wanted to promote this environment where if a new person were to come in, they would not feel they can take things slowly. They can take things as fast as they can or as slowly as they can. And I feel like that's should be how we should be treating everything with Saint Seiya. And I feel that we should not be dying over frivolous things. We should not be dying on the hill of like such frivolous things as like superficial things that a lot of people on the internet would like to argue about, and do something very differently. So, like I said, like my hopes is that if I can create one new fan from all this, especially if I can get one of those actors to be a longtime fan from all this, then I feel like my mission is complete. And even if it's someone new that's coming in fresh, that's coming in blind, that does not know anything about Saint Seiya and wants to learn about Saint Seiya, if that exact person, comes in and gets all the information and digests everything and becomes more knowledgeable about the series and goes out on their own and becomes a fan because of it, then I feel I feel that my mission objective is completed, and I want that to happen. And I feel like the only way we can do that is we gotta set aside a lot of like our negativity, a lot of our negative thoughts, just like whatever like things that we have lingering about whatever that creates toxic environments. We should just put that aside. we have to step aside and realize that's like that's not the hill that Saint Seiya will die on. I don't want it to die like the hills of series such as Star Wars, where it's just frivolous arguments that make that at the end of the day, it's just like you don't want like it's just it seems very petty, especially on all sides. Where it's just like they want to they're not that because of how like because of their feelings on everything, it's becomes very difficult to it just becomes very difficult to like find a common ground sometimes, or find some sort of positivity where it's just all or nothing. And I feel like that shouldn't be how it is. But for the internet, we had these types of issues, and I feel like if there's one place that should be like where we can at least try to improve on it, it'd be like right here. So it's like I know I can't stop the world. I'm not gonna ask for people to like hold hands and sing "Kumbaya." That's just impossible. But I do feel that we can do something positive, especially with what's going on with with this movie, and just start something fresh, something new, something interesting that the fans and the potential fans or just newcomers in general will be interested in. If the movie's bad, then the movie's bad. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna be like oh like I'm not gonna make a dissertation about the movie and spend like hours on end watching it. It's like it's a bad movie, whatever. You know, there's that's just a dime a dozen bad movie that you see every day and like on every day. So it's like why should this be different? That just because it has the name Saint Seiya on it. It's good. It's great. That's a net positive. We should look at it that way as well. If it's good, we shouldn't be looking at it if it's bad. Like, well, what if it's good? You know. So I know I'm rambling on and on about it. But it's like basically what I'm trying to say is like right now we don't need to make a toxic environment for anybody trying to get into the series that have been interested because they heard the news of the casting, the news of the movie itself, or even if the cast members are even listening, which I doubt, but let's hope they are. I want everybody to make them feel welcome. And I do want the fans to make everybody feel welcome to the fandom as much as they can. So I guess that's about it for now. This is pretty much about it. Like I said, like this is like a very truncated episode. There's a lot of things that we can discuss. We can further discuss later if you want. And for a future episode as well, I do know I have 1 or 2 episodes I want to talk about where different things we'll be doing, and we can roll them up with our usual episodes about like episode discussions and stuff like that as well. And then typical news, we'll be discussing news more often, especially with the movie coming out, and that's about it. If anybody has any thoughts, any questions, please send them my way. On Twitter, St Cosmocast. You can send a tweet at me, and we'll discuss, and we'll even read it on the air if you want us to read it on air. If you also want to join the discussion as well, we also have a hashtag. Keep burning that cosmos, all one word. And I'll just keep an eye on the Twitter because I want to do some new interesting things, and I want to try a lot of interesting things, and it's up to you guys to tell me if it's a good idea or not. Because it's basically I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing this for the fans. I'm doing this so we can all do something all together. So we can all just do something really cool at the end of the day. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for listening. And per usual, keep burning that cosmos. Later.
Sonando cuenta su canción, la canción que